part of this is a backlash to how badly Biden handled the immigration situation. It can't just be like come one, come all, which
Dude,
it was.
there's plenty of room here, and we need
Room.
There's plenty of room in America. Come on,
Well,
there's not a lack of room in America.
But it's never about room. It's about resources and about like having countries have to have a border.
That was Club Random host Bill Maher clashing with actor John Liguizamo over President Trump's immigration crackdown.
Maher explained how people from around the world want to be in America escaping their own countries, which in his words are not very nice places. Let's watch.
200 million people around the world, when asked, would you come to America if you could? Yes, I would. Why wouldn't they? Lots of countries, excuse me, are
right,
and they would love to be here. You can't
I'm
let
not right. No, right. The places aren't, but
well, they are. And that's why they want to come.
And it's usually because of America. What America's done, especially in Latin America, has beat up every democracy that was burgeoning in Latin America. They destroyed it to keep their oil or their resources or bauxite or bananas.
The Trump administration has declared they won't be granting amnesty to undocumented immigrant farm and hospitality workers. But a new Gallup poll suggests that 79% of U.S. adults say immigration is a good thing for our country. The poll taken between June 2nd and 26th shows that Americans wanting reduced immigration dropped from 55% in 2024 to 30% today. Those who want it to stay at the current level jumped from 26% in 2024 to 38% in 2025.
I mean, I've seen a lot of polls on immigration. They're all over the place. You can find a poll that shows strong support for for less immigration to a greater degree than again, I'm not speaking for my own ideology. I am for legal immigration. I'm for bringing in more people. I think it's good for our country. The American people, based on what I see from polling, want less immigration and want more deportations. That poll reached a contrary result. You know, maybe people have inconsistent views here. John Liguizamo, great actor, big fan of him as an actor. His ideas, not so much. I don't know what he was going on about there. You can't just, yes, I disagree with a lot of American foreign policy over the last 100 years, but I'm sorry, it just becomes so whiny to blame all the dysfunction and all the problems on other places. It's always America's fault. It's always the U.S.'s fault. You know, we stopped, we're not interfering that much, and y'all still have problems. So I don't know how much more you can keep complaining about. It's somebody else's fault. Take some responsibility for, policies not being good. Adopt some good policies. Look at Argentina. Argentina put Javier Milei in charge of their country. He did what he promised to do. He said, I'm sorry, our spending is insane. It's causing massive inflation. We're going to massively reduce government spending. It's going to hurt in the short term. That is going to cause pain. We have to have the hangover and get sober, and then it'll be better. We can't just keep drinking. He did that, and they released regulations having to do with apartment and leases and all that. They undid all those regulations, and as a result, the country is flourishing. It has economic growth. Inflation is way down. There's more housing availability. It's working. So that shows Latin American countries can turn things around and have prosperity if they just have better policies. It's not always America's fault. In terms of taking in more people, yeah, I'm happy to do it. But as Bill Maher says, we have to have some kind of border and some kind of process. I think that process should be simpler, should be easier, so we can take in more immigrants who want to contribute and filter out the small number who are gang affiliated, and that would be a popular thing to do.
I think of all
End
the
of rant. Sorry, that was a long one.
It's okay. Of all the polls that we've seen over the last, let's say, 2 years, one that's consistent in the interactions that I have with people across the country is that, yes, immigration was not at a place that people were comfortable with a year or two ago. And right now, the numbers did go down. But I think that the way that the president has gone about it is really jarring to people, even people who did want it to get under control. Mm-hmm. And so I think we have to remember, there was always pushback from Ellis Island days to, Mexican immigrants coming here. And no matter who it was, Irish immigrants, there's pushback on people coming. And then it's like, that's the foundation of America. We are built on a variety of people, ideas in our society. And so I think probably Leguizamo's bigger overarching point is that we should welcome that. We should welcome the differences. I'm sure they probably agree upon the point that there's a strategy and a way to do it. I have friends that are from Ethiopia who came to the country and filled out all the proper documentation. Their family, they live here and have a comfortable, beautiful, flourishing life where they still respect where they're from. And it wasn't because they were fleeing. They just wanted something different. And so I think that that is something that we have to look to as, welcoming people by not making our jargon seem so unwelcoming that we don't want anybody else here. Because ideologically, whose country is it? It's like just one looking person, one culture's country. Like, we're built on variety of people migrating here. So I think we have to remember that, coming from a place of where Bill Maher seems to come, like entitlement. Oh no, what do you mean? There's no space, there's no funding. It's like, well, there would have been more funding if we would have passed the bill through Congress 2 years ago that President Trump blocked, to create a legitimate path for people, especially those seeking amnesty from some of the countries that Leguizamo was talking about that are fleeing dire circumstances. We would have been in a better situation, but here we are now, just arresting people and throwing them wherever we want to throw them, sending them to other countries, and doing it Trump's way. But there was a cleaner strategy that could have got us to where we were going.
Okay, the people being sent to, El Salvador are accused of being criminals or criminal association. Now, I'm not saying this is how I would do it, but that's not the kind of model immigrant we want for our country. I agree with what a lot of what you are saying, and I've argued with other people on the right about this who have a more limited view of what America is or should be. It is true, obviously, that virtually everyone came here as an immigrant at some point, and we've had different waves of immigration. And there's always been a lot of griping about these Irish, they haven't assimilated, they're not really, we don't want them. And then what happens is they contribute meaningfully, economically, culturally, socially. There is assimilation, the next generation and the next generation. People from Vietnam who came here dirt poor, in the 70s, and then started a business or worked at a business.
Elon Musk.
And then, Elon is a great example. So there's so many powerful examples of that, which is why we should never get in the category of, disdaining the immigrant experience or what immigrants, the value they provide, as long as they are coming here to work and to build something and not coming here to be taken care of or expect some kind of handout. That's where the generosity of the American people understandably runs out.
Most migrants, and I'm just saying this from having experience interviewing them for News Nation, are coming here looking to work to feed their families. It's like a really dire circumstances, from the ones that I know that we were targeting most specifically at the borders in Arizona, at the borders, right? These are people that have come here and said, listen, I'm really trying to work, that have sat down and said, provide some type of pipeline for me to bring money, pay taxes in this economy, and eventually I will go back to Venezuela, but I just want to feed my family and get them out of there, or decide which country we can live in. And so we need those workers too. It's why Trump kind of goes back and forth about how he wants to treat farm workers or hospitality workers, knowing that his businesses have relied on these people to have the success that they have. So it's quite a conundrum.
This is where I part ways with the Stephen Miller wing of the Republican Party. Certainly, it was when I hear that, when I have an immigrant, even an illegal immigrant, who wants to work on a construction project that's going to build a new subdivision or new apartment complex, or an illegal immigrant who wants to be in the fields picking strawberries or whatever it is, want to work. I don't. To me, I say, okay, that's fine. Please do that. That's great. There's no part of me that goes, we got to get out of here and we got to find somebody else to do it. Well, they want to do it as long as they're not causing any other problems. That seems fine to me. And that's really where Trump is. It's where Joe Rogan is. It's where Trump is. So that's a good thing. But it's not where Stephen Miller is.
Yeah, but I say, people who are overseeing the immigration policy are not at the same level as Trump is. It's like, when you're the president, you have to be the one to set the tone, and it has to look.
And then I want to hear from them.
Under you are listeing to your overall strategy.
Then I want to hear from them what's their solution. I'm like, okay, you're saying you want all these people gone, every single one of them, which let's, I guess, gloss over whether that's even possible, or whether we could accept, whether we're willing to tolerate the kind of domestic surveillance state of all having to carry identification at all times to make sure that only citizens are here. That seems pretty dystopian to me, and I don't really want it. But let's say we could get around, so we got all those people gone. So then what's your plan to satisfy this labor pool? And they'll be like, well, existing Americans. And I'm like, okay, that's going to cost way more money.
That's what Amber and I were talking about, that the cost for, whether you ideologically think it's right or wrong.
But they see that as a good thing, because they want it to be a jobs creation program for existing Americans and then pay them more. But they never have a good answer for, that's going to massively increase the cost of labor and of food and of everything. And then it's going to have the prices go up, and nobody wants that.
And no one ever talks about the cost of some of these, what I think are performative raids, right? They cost a lot of money to send people in certain places, to pull out migrants, some of who may or may not go to a detention center for a long time, prosecuting them. This is all a lot of work for people who, like you said, we were going after criminals. I think that most of the country agreed that's a good thing. If someone's in the country performing criminal activity, go after them. But for everyone else who was not, who was working and adding to our economy, that seems like a problem, especially for all the business owners that were employing them. It's like, okay, so now we're just going in any business areas and just pulling people out of work, out of all these places. And so it directly contradicts the same people, let's say, that Trump is planning to give these tax cuts to. So it's like, you know, both
and also,
sides
can
of the
we
coin.
fix this so we don't have this ongoing problem? If the issue, and fine, I get it that, you know, they're under the table, or they don't have the same, since they don't have the same legal status, they can undercut American labor, and we think that maybe that's not fair, not desirable. Okay, well then we got to have some legal plan to bring them out of the woodwork, or decide what the next wave, because I'm sorry, no matter how much border security you get, you're still going to have people getting into this country illegally. It's difficult to stop it. You can reduce it, you can do all sorts of things, but people want to come to this country and they want to work. The people who want to come to this country and want to work, we should have some plan to have more of them, and then they can compete along for the same rates as American citizens, and that would resolve that problem. If we have this tremendous underground population of a labor pool that it's not fair and you think that's bad, okay, then we need some plan to have that no longer be the case. That's not just, it's deport them all, but then there's still going to be more, because there's going to be more coming in. So have some kind of plan. I think most Americans want, simplify it. Here's what you need to do to come into the country legally. Here's how you get vetted. And then if you can do it above board, then we can monitor and we can say, okay, yeah, you can come in, you can come in. Wait. You were associated with Tren de Aragua. You cannot come in. Nope.
Well, I sat
That'd be
with
fine.
Mayor Mike Johnston of Denver, and he was saying that's something that he was specifically pushing for,
Yeah.
and that he was constantly blocked at every stop. You know, he had to testify in Congress, I think, late last year.
Is that the city that had Tren de Aragua take over the apartment? No, that was Boulder.
Well, Boulder's right outside of
Yeah.
Denver, so it's not too far.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's still testifying that there's a strategy here with proper federal support. You know, and right now people have been looking at Denver as the poster child for spending a lot of the money, which he's saying, yes, police department didn't get new furniture in 2024. That's what we cut in order to help fund programs that help migrants get on their feet and start working again. But the goal was to get to work. And it just seemed like the federal government, at least last year, was completely shutting him out on that idea and just, you know, better off running with the idea that this is a sanctuary city, this is a disaster, because that makes President Trump look good. This is his winning issue. So, you know, now that we're deep into the presidency, I hope that since the bipartisan border security bill didn't pass a year ago, maybe we can revisit that, and it could be Trump's win. But, you know, it really needs to be America's win on a sustainable solution on how to bring in migrants, but also get people to work and get our economy booming again, especially if we're trying to grow our economy.
Got a lot more to talk about today on Rising. Stay with us.